Hello, Heidi.
Hi, Lori. How are you?
Well, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
So nice to
Thank
see you.
you. Yes, you too. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh,
You're
it's
clearly
truly
very popular, Lori.
well, it's truly my honor and my pleasure. And I was blown away. I know registration does not equal attendance, but at least it shows there's an interest in the subject. So
Yes,
that's
it,
fantastic.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Can
Um,
you see my screen right now, by the way?
I can
Okay,
see I see you, I see your screen. Would it be possible for me to be able to share at the end? Just
absolutely.
I want to go through the website for the Mindfulness and Law Society and pull up one document if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yep, I have it set so that you should have no problem doing that.
All right, let me just oh, okay. Well, we'll see. If it works, fine, and if it doesn't, no big
Well,
deal.
why don't I just do this? I'm going to stop my share for a moment and then you can
Okay.
test it out.
Yes, because I'm low tech Laurie, I always all right. Can you see my? No, you can't.
Not yet.
Why won't that work? All right. No, for some reason it's not working. I'm not going to stress over it. What I'll do is I will,
Do you
um,
want to send it to me and then I could share it?
yeah, so there's just two links that I was hoping to share. And so let me,
Oh, why don't you just put it in the chat to me and then I'll have it.
okay, thank you.
And then I'm happy to share it.
Great. So, all right, so that's the first link, and then I'll get you the second one.
Okay, perfect.
And we still have a couple minutes, right?
Yeah, we're okay.
Great. Thank you.
No problem. Mm, Lori, I don't think that one came through. It's just showing me, it's not a link. That second one, the
Hmm,
PDF.
okay.
If you want to just email it to me, you could do that too, if that's
Okay.
easier.
Let me try that. Let
It's
me,
like it's just showing me. It just says the text of it, but it's not going
okay.
to anything.
All right. It's a good thing that we test things, right? Let's see. Did I send that to recently? Just locating it. Should have it in a minute.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Sent.
Okay, I'm going to give it just one more minute and then we will start. All right, I recognize it's the top of the hour and I know folks will continue to trickle in here. Just a note that we do record these meetings. What I aim to do is record until the end of the presentation from our speaker, and then I will, if I am able to stop the recording, because actually this is, oh yes, I can. Okay. I will stop the recording after the presentation and not record the discussion. We do have a significant number of people who have registered for today's program. So just be mindful of that. And we're happy to see folks either on video or off video. I know folks are busy, but we're always happy to see folks here. So, welcome today to our Legal Wellbeing Network meeting. It's wonderful to see so many folks here, and over the years we have accumulated more and more interest in these meetings. The idea behind these meetings was really to have a network that serves as a platform for us to share ideas and exchange resources and learn from one another's experiences and what you all are doing in your workplaces and your organizations and your practices, really with the shared goal of fostering a healthier, a more supportive environment for all legal professionals. And we welcome you, whether you are local to Massachusetts or not. I know we have a lot of interest from folks outside of Massachusetts, and you are always welcome to participate and participate in our discussion and share resources and ideas. We have been meeting, in fact, since 2020, which seems like a long time. And I am, again, just pleased as how this network has continued to grow. It's been a little bit since our last meeting. We took a break for the summer, but we do record all of our meetings, and those are all available on our website. There's a link in the slides, and I'll make sure I'll make sure the slides are available on our website after, so you can access those. So you can find past presentations and resources on our website. So I am Heidi Alexander, and I am the director of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court Standing Committee on Lawyer Wellbeing. Just a couple of notes from the standing committee, a few things that I thought it might be helpful to for you to know, just in terms of sort of what we are up to with the SJC Standing Committee, which was formed in 2020. We've since that time, we've really operated on trying to implement the recommendations from the 2019 Steering Committee report. And of course, we adapt, we evolve as things change, as we collect more data on the profession and challenges in the profession, and trying to figure out, what are the most effective ways to help attorneys to reduce burnout and thrive in this profession. And so on this slide, you'll just see a few of the areas that we tend to prioritize, particularly creating awareness around the importance of well-being. I think that's a lot of what a lot of folks here I see are doing in all of your work, and we continue to do that and to support organizations such as Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers. I see Amy Levine here. Hi, Amy. and the great work that they're doing to promote well-being in the profession. We also do a lot of work around creating supportive, inclusive, and equitable workplaces, developing programs and services that support lawyers and law students and judges and other professionals that are working ancillary to the legal profession, and focusing on strategies and policies and evaluating the implementation of certain programs and services to figure out, what are most effective. And like I said, increasing awareness and access to services like Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers, that provides many free and confidential, wonderful services to our legal profession. So that's just a bit about what we're doing. I did want to just relay some statistics that shine some light on and kind of form, this basis around, why are we continuing to do this work? Well, there's some pretty bleak data, unfortunately, that is sort of pervasive across the country. There was a study conducted in last year on Massachusetts attorneys in particular. If you haven't seen it, this is the link to the study. Again, I'll make sure that this is posted on our webpage, but it found that more than 3/4 of lawyers in Massachusetts are burned out, and almost half have thought about leaving their employer or the profession, which is, again, something we're working on trying to avoid, and particularly thinking about, how we train future lawyers. And we're doing a lot of work around law schools and legal education. We also found that Massachusetts lawyers also report concerning levels of anxiety, depression, and unhealthy alcohol use, and that these rates are highest among lawyers who are historically underrepresented in the profession and marginalized. So this is again data that really tracks across the country, similar to other studies that have been conducted. I think one of the most concerning things that we found in this study in Massachusetts is that for lawyers who screened for hazardous and unhealthy alcohol use, 98% of them did not actually seek substance use care. And so we've had lots of discussions about, why is this the case, and what we need to do to ensure that people do get help when they need it. And then in terms of mental health care, the study found that nearly half of those who screened for anxiety, depression, suicide ideation did not seek mental health care. So you can kind of see here, I know it's small, but for those who actually did go out and seek care, most of them received it. And so that's a little bit different than we're finding from the general population, where it's hard to access. It appears as though attorneys actually can access these services. It's just that they're not going out and attempting to access the services. And so there's a lot of work going on there. There was also just a recent well-being survey. I don't know if folks saw this, and I can put it in the chat, but this was from Bloomberg Law. So Bloomberg Law does a number of surveys, mostly of large firms. And this one was a recent survey, and they asked, how often do you encounter legal professionals whose well-being, substance abuse, and or mental health issues may interfere with their work responsibilities? And what they found is that most people said that sometimes or often. So the most part, people do believe that what they're seeing, and I think this is also related to like the civility in the profession and how we treat each other. And there's actually been some recent data on bullying in the profession, but that these things, the way we kind of take care of ourselves, and the way we're able to respond to people, that's really going to impact the way that we do our work, and we show up and we practice. So what we've been trying to do, along with other organizations like Mindfulness in Law Society that you're going to hear from, Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers, with the courts, with the bar associations, is try to become less reactive and more proactive, so that we can prevent some of these issues in the future, and also focusing both on individual and organizational solutions. And so individual actions, which I think some of which Lori Lori will talk about, focus on mindfulness and being present, and regulating emotions. And then the organizational solutions, which are more systemic, require policy changes, and that's where a lot of the SJC Standing Committee's work has come into play. We do try to put out information about what we've been up to so that you have a sense of that. And if you'd like to get involved, we're happy to have you involved in many different ways, because our reach is very broad. We have we're working in all different legal sectors, as you can see here, but we have put out reports every year, so you can take a look. Again, everything's on our website. A couple of programs that I always like to make sure folks know about. We're always trying to create awareness around some of the ongoing programs and initiatives that we have running, but we did create a partnership with the Massachusetts Health Connector for Business a couple of years ago to address some of the issues that small firms and solo practitioners were facing regarding health insurance benefits. And so there is a program, and we're actually providing an informational program on October 24th for anyone who is interested. There's also information on our website about that program. And then we also have created a mentorship program for any attorney who is interested in mentorship. So that may be new attorneys, and we try to promote this to many new attorneys, but new attorneys in transition, attorneys that are from an underrepresented or marginalized group, solo practitioners in particular. And so we have this mentorship program that allows a lot of different opportunities for engaging with mentors inside the Commonwealth. And then finally, we also have on our website, we've got a page where we try to aggregate a lot of the research and the news and the articles around well-being and mental health in the profession. And I provide this, in particular to this group, because I know you folks are doing a lot of the on the ground efforts, and you're doing work in your own workplaces. And so this might be a resource for you that you can go to if you're looking for something in particular, or you want to share something with your organization or your workplace. We have a lot of information available there. And then finally, I just want to call attention to the work of the Institute for Wellbeing in Law. And just a disclaimer, I am the president of the Institute for Wellbeing in Law, which is a 501c3 organization that came out of the National Task Force report on lawyer well-being, and has now been operating for a couple of years now. And they do a number of programs and advocacy and support the state task forces, such as our standing committee. They're doing research and scholarship. And you can see a couple of programs that are available here. Again, I'll make sure to send all of this out, but a program coming up this week. They have an annual wellbeing conference that has now been running for a number of years. And they're also responsible for Wellbeing Week in Law, which I know a lot of you participate in and do events in your own workplaces and associations. All right. And on our website, we also have a list of our upcoming meetings. So this year I was trying to be a little bit more structured and actually provide you those dates in advance, which also then forces me to get on the ball and actually find speakers and make sure that we have some continuity in these meetings. So these are the next 4 meetings that we'll have, and I hope you will attend all of them. So with that, I want to introduce our fantastic speaker here, Lori Capello, who I have known for a while now. And Lori is just a fantastic, wonderful person. For those of you who know her, you know that about her. But Lori has been involved in the well-being space for a long time. She is currently the executive director of Mindfulness in Law Society. She was the first director of well-being at MINTS. She was also their architect and co-founder of MINTS's mindfulness program, and the co-founder and co-chair of the currently also co-chair of the New England chapter of Mindfulness in Law Society. So I invited Lori here today to talk about the Mindfulness in Law Society and the importance of mindfulness in our practices, and which I think as folks who are mindfulness practitioners know that it has a huge impact on our ability to manage daily stresses. And I think that I think that if we could all practice mindfulness, we would decrease the incivility in our profession, and it would help us be a lot healthier and happier. So Lori, I'm going to turn it over to you to chat, and then we will after Lori speaks, we will open it up for discussion, and folks who want to stay on and chat, we are happy to do so. So Lori, I am going to end my slide share and hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Heidi, for that wonderful introduction, and also for sharing all of the information that you and the committee are doing. I thought it would be helpful to start off with a little bit of introduction about my background, so that I know Heidi shared with you that I was the Director of Wellbeing at Mintz, and I've been in big law for most of my career, which was almost 40 years. And became very passionate about well-being, having worked in HR and big law for that long time, just really exposed to the day-to-day, what people were experiencing. And I believe everybody is very well aware with the 2016 ABA study on lawyer well-being. That to me was really the catalyst that brought the attention that was needed for action to be taken in the entire legal industry. So not just with attorneys, but in the courts and the law schools, and whether you're an individual practitioner or et cetera. And I think the follow-up report that came out with the recommendations and the guidelines led to this wonderful group that Heidi has been leading. And I'm very proud that I've been involved with that from the beginning, and participating in these meetings and getting to know so many and learning from so many of you. And progress has been made over the last 4 years. The report came out in 2016. It took a while for the recommendations and then for things to be put into place. And just the sheer number of people that registered for today, and I was sharing with Heidi, we know that registration doesn't equal attendance, but I always say if I can help one person a day, it's been a great day. So, thrilled to have all of you here. But things are moving. When I was first proposing to become the Director of Wellbeing at Mintz, sort of transition into that role, there were very few people in the role. I had a hard time getting, data, and had to just be very creative about it. And I am very grateful that Mintz took the risk and accepted the proposal and allowed me to create the wellbeing program at Mintz. And simultaneously, I was also on my mindfulness journey. And I was practicing meditation without any understanding of the background and feeling the benefits. And then 2 of our young associates approached me and said, I read this article about this wonderful woman. She was a partner at Hale & Dorr back in the day, now WilmerHale, who then went on to become a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher. And she's going into law firms and doing programs, and we'd love to get her in here. And I thought that would be, this is my opportunity. If I've got 2 young, well thought of male associates, wanting this. And so I approached management, and they were very supportive, thankfully. And that was almost 9 years ago. And for 8 years at Mintz, we had Brenda Fingold come in to do our Mindfulness at Work program. So we trained hundreds of not only attorneys, but other legal professionals. And it was such I would say, a joyful part of my job because of the stories that those that had taken the training would share with me how they were so moved by it that they were sharing it with family members and actually having their children meditate for a few minutes, every night before they went to bed. And just lots of little stories like that. And so I also became affiliated with the Mindfulness and Law Society at that time. And as Heidi mentioned, co-founded with Brenda, the New England chapter. We were the first chapter for the Mindfulness and Law Society. And I see a few of my chapter members here today. Always nice to see you. And we generally have been meeting once a month. Sometimes, like this month of October, we have a big event, which I'll tell you about at the end a little bit more, but it's our annual online retreat for members. So during a month like that, rather than tie up your time and ask you to participate in another meeting, I encourage the chapter members to register for the online retreat and participate in that. But we have a wonderful group of people that generally does meet, and we're there to support each other, to talk about how mindfulness is not only affecting our lives individually, but in the workplace. We have some that are law professors that are teaching to law students. And that is one of the, I think, best thing that I've seen happen recently, with the ABA has now put in a new standard for the curriculum for well-being. And mindfulness ties into well-being because, from my perspective, it is the cornerstone of well-being. And why do I say that? Because mindfulness creates the ability to be aware. And with awareness, you can make choices. And, Heidi was talking about wanting to be, more proactive rather than reactive. In mindfulness, we say responding rather than reacting. So it's along the same lines. Maybe some of you are not familiar with mindfulness, so I'll just briefly give you a little description of what it is. There's all different types of meditative and contemplative, practices and approaches. The mindfulness that I'm trained in is the mindfulness-based stress reduction that Jon Kabat-Zinn founded in 1979 at UMass. It's a program that's taught all over the world. And that's the program that Brenda based her 8-week at work program on. So it's a lighter version, if you will, but it gives you all the foundations and all the principles and really the opportunity to make some significant changes. But you don't have to go through an 8-week program to benefit by mindfulness practices such as meditation. The meditation is intended to help develop your capacity to keep your attention and your focus where you want it to be. And there's been over 10,000 mindfulness-based studies that have shown how a mindfulness practice can improve your ability to be present, to focus. It has all types of benefits on your physical health as well. And everybody's, sort of interaction with mindfulness is going to be a little bit different. So these are generalizations, but it can help to improve things such as your heart rate and your blood pressure. And again, applying it to work, it gives you that ability to maintain your focus. It helps hone your listening skills, which are so important. How many times you're in a conversation with somebody, and rather than paying attention to what they're saying to you, you're thinking about what you're going to say next. And if you think about practicing law, you may miss a very important detail that your client is sharing. You may miss an opportunity to argue a particular point in front of a judge, or pick up on subtle cues. So these are just a sprinkling of ways that practicing mindfulness can help. So I mentioned I was going to tell you what actually mindfulness was, and I got off on a little tangent, but it really is paying attention in the present moment on purpose. You want to be paying attention and without judgment. And that's where, the practicing of recognizing that we are human, we will become distracted. But if we do develop a meditation practice, and it doesn't have to be an hour a day, it can be as little as 15 minutes in the morning or in the afternoon, whatever works for you. But just sitting quietly, bringing your attention to a focal point. For most people, or I shouldn't say most, but a lot of people, the breath is a comfortable focal point. But some people have trouble with focusing on the breath, so you can use a body part. And the intention is to notice what you experience as you focus on the breath or the body part. And we will get distracted, thoughts, body sensations, sounds, they'll come in throughout the practice. And even the most seasoned practitioner will have that happen. But it's the moment that you become aware that you've been distracted, that is a mindful moment. And with that awareness gives you the ability to bring your attention right back to the breath or your focal point. And this is what develops our capacity to be fully present as we continue on with our lives when we're not practicing. And they call it a practice for a reason, just like exercise for the body. You have to lift those weights if you want to develop the muscles in the biceps. Mindfulness is a training for the brain. And again, I mentioned those studies that show that the brain does change when people meditate over a period of time, and it helps to develop that capacity. And not only important for our work lives, but also for our personal lives. And one of the things that Jon Kabat-Zinn has said, there's only one moment when your child is going to take that first step. You want to be present for that. Or, somebody's telling you an important story and you want to make sure that they consent, because people know when you're paying attention to them and when you're off in thought. And one of the Harvard studies that we talk about when we do our training program lets us know that 47% of the time we are not present, or most people are not present. We are thinking about the to-do list. What am I having for dinner? Did I make arrangements for the kids to be picked up at school? Did I file that brief on? Whatever. There's just so many things that are competing for our attention. But again, with a practice of mindfulness and meditation, we have that potential to really maintain our focus, to be present, and to experience our lives much fuller. So that's a little bit of a description on mindfulness. And again, some people might have ideas that it's a little woo-woo, and it truly isn't. It's not tied into a religion, although most mindfulness practice have the underpinnings of, the Buddhist teachings. It is very secular, and it is really accessible, I feel, to anybody that's open to it. So coming back a little bit sort of to my wellness journey and my mindfulness journey and how they were parallel, I wanted to become more involved with the Mindfulness and Law Society as I was transitioning out of my career. And I retired in April, and then I took on the role of executive director at Mills. It's a year of service, at least. It might extend a little longer. But it's my intention to help the organization to develop, to reach out to other people. And we are a resource for those that practice mindfulness and like to be connected with other like-minded people. We offer practices every Monday and Wednesday that are led by wonderful teachers that are affiliated with the Mindfulness and Law Society. And people from all over, even some other countries that are Mills members will join sessions. People come in and out, but it's a really great opportunity to connect with others that are in the same industry, going through the same things that you may be going through, and find mindfulness as a resource and give an opportunity to practice together. So I also mentioned the New England chapter, and we meet and we share ideas and we share resources. In addition to the Mindful Mondays and Wakeful Wednesdays, which are open to everybody. You don't have to be a Mills member. We hope if you come and you like, what you're participating in, that you'll become a member, because there's lots of other benefits and opportunities, which I'll share at the end. But we want to make this accessible to everybody in the legal community. So you can just go onto our website, and at the end, we'll put that up for you. And then there's a tab for our meditation sits, and Mondays at 3 and Wednesdays at 5, you just click on that link and you'll be brought into the room, and there'll be a live session that will be led, and you'll be able to participate in that if you like. In addition to that, we also have what we call monthly community connection opportunities. So generally, they're held at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and each month, a different chapter will offer a presentation that is open to everybody in the mindfulness community. We do record the presentations, and those are posted on our member-only portal. So again, we want these opportunities to be available to everybody and hopefully encourage you to become a member. But if you can't or don't want to, you may still participate. But if you're a member and you register and are not able to attend, you will then be able to go to your member account and watch the recording. So we've had things like mindful time management, and we had a student orientation. This was the 3rd year we did that in late August. We had an amazing registration and then very few numbers that showed up, but it was a wonderful presentation. Tatiana Posada, who leads our law student division, brings a lot of passion, and she really tied in for the students how mindfulness and Mills can be so supportive to them. And then we heard from 3 of our student ambassadors who shared their personal experience with mindfulness, how it helped in law school, and how Mills has been supportive to them. And one thing I want to make sure I mention is the Mills membership is free for law students. So any of you that know law students that you think might be interested or might benefit, I encourage you to share the Mills website with them and invite them to join, and they will be able to access all of the benefits and not have to pay for it. I just want to take a moment, because I've been talking for quite a long time, and just ask if anybody has any questions. I know sometimes I might use acronyms that those of you that are not familiar with mindfulness might be a little confused. So I want to pause and just ask if anybody has questions on anything that I've shared so far. Right. Well, Heidi, if you wouldn't mind sharing the link to the Mills website and then help me navigate through it, just so I can show people a little bit what you can find if you are interested and you'd like to access the Mills website. Thank you. So this is our mission. And I think, Heidi, at the top, there should be a link to upcoming events. Yes. So as I mentioned, we're going to be having our 3rd annual online retreat, and that will be on Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's really a wonderful opportunity. It's, as I mentioned, a free benefit for members. And if you're not a member, you can join right from this page and then register for the retreat. We have mindfulness meditation practices and movement practices, and there'll be a talk by Judy Cohen, who's our co-president, who's an amazing teacher who leads Warrior One and offers a podcast every Thursday, free for those in the legal profession. And then in November is one of the community connections that I mentioned, the importance of a daily mindfulness practice. And Heather Simmons, who works in Georgia, will be leading that presentation. And this is open to everybody. Again, you don't have to be a member, so you're free to register for that and test that out. And we will be posting on the upcoming events page different things that are coming in the future months. Generally in December, we don't hold anything because it's such a big holiday month and everybody's busy. But we're already working on the calendar for beginning in January 25. So you can check the website and check the upcoming events page frequently. Heidi, if you wouldn't mind scrolling to the top, and then I think there's a virtual SITS link. Thank you. And appreciate your help. So this is the place where you can go if you're interested in joining us for a Mindful Monday or a Wakeful Wednesday session. And as I mentioned, you don't have to register in advance. You just can come to this page on our website, and at 3 on a Monday or 5 on a Wednesday, just click on that link and you'll be brought into the room. And I want to just take a moment to acknowledge Linda O'Connell and Felipa Marullo Anzalone, who are part of the New England chapter. And they also are leading a Mindful Monday and Wakeful Wednesday session for this, I think it's 4 months, so through the end of December. So we do send out an email each Monday and Wednesday to remind those of you that are members, and the link is in the email, so it's easy once you become a member. But again, wanted to just acknowledge Felipa and Linda, who are both here, and thank you for doing those and leading those practices. And then Heidi, if you wouldn't mind going to chapters, and then scroll down to New England, and just to showcase, this picture was taken when we did the kickoff back in 2019. And it was at Mintz. And on the far right, in the front row, that's Brenda Fingold, who led the program at Mintz and is the co-chair of the New England chapter. And I think there's a few other people that might even be on this presentation that are there in the picture. And we were very lucky that we had a great reception, and we have a really wonderful chapter in the New England area. Heidi, you can exit out of this if you don't mind. And if you wouldn't mind putting up the other document. And this is just a summary of the benefits of being a member of Mills. Thank you, Heidi. As I've already talked about, we have the weekly live practices. We also have a newsletter each month where we share what's happening, promoting upcoming events. And we also share free mindfulness and meditation and movement practices that are offered by various Mills members. And so again, you don't have to be a Mills member, you don't have to pay for these things, but we want to make sure that we are sharing as many resources as possible with those that might be interested. Our fall online retreat I talked about, and we are hoping to host an in-person retreat in the fall of 2025, and it looks like it might be in California. Our last in-person retreat was in June of 2023. It was very successful. It was in Memphis, and we had members from all over the country come together, and we really enjoyed practices and presentations and getting to know each other in person. So that was wonderful. The member-only portal that I mentioned does have those recordings, does have practices that you can access at any time. And we are continuing to develop that, and hopefully it's a nice resource for our members. We have a QR code there now, which will take you to join if you'd like. And again, there's the website at the bottom. Thank you, Heidi. So you could take that down now. Wonderful. So just to sort of tie it all up, I have had the privilege of working with Heidi for, well, it's at least since 2020, maybe even before then. And, I just can't say enough about Heidi and her passion and the trailblazer that she has been, and how lucky we are. Massachusetts was the first to develop a standing committee on well-being, and Heidi has been our fearless leader since then. And I encourage you to go to the website, to look at past recordings, to look at the studies and all of the wonderful resources that are available. From my time as a director of well-being and director of benefits that shared all of the resources that were available to employees, I can substantiate or corroborate what Heidi said about resources being available and so few people taking advantage of them. And so if that's one thing you could take away from today, is to please check these resources out. You never know what might be appealing, and do it often, because your life changes. And as your life changes, something that may not have interested you in the past may be of interest to you now. So I do encourage you to become familiar, participate in programs like this. And if anybody has any interest in, talking to me about bringing well-being into your law firm or your school, or if you're interested in having a program, maybe an intro to mindfulness in your law firm or your school, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to help in any way that I can. And so I truly, please take me up on that offer if there is any way that I can be helpful to you. So
thank you, Lori. This was fantastic. I am again just so thrilled to see how much interest there was for this topic, and I think probably here you're in some ways preaching to the choir, but I think all of us can go out and continue to spread awareness of mindfulness and mindfulness in Law Society and the great work that you're doing. So I'm so thrilled that you're continuing your involvement in this work. And of course, we will continue to work together. I am curious from folks here, because I know there are some folks who are members of the New England chapter, and probably other folks who practice mindfulness in their daily lives. And so I am curious as to folks' experiences here, and I will stop the recording, but I'd love to kind of have a discussion around how that has impacted your own practice or your personal lives, and how you do implement that on a daily basis. Because I do think that a lot of what we have seen in the data and what we hear all the time is we hear a lot about how stressed attorneys are. We hear a lot about how people are treating each other poorly. We hear a lot about bullying in the profession, a lot of conflict. And so, again, I think that mindfulness is a really wonderful step in the right direction. And so the more people we can bring to this, the better. So I'm curious as to whether people have thoughts. And Amy, I saw that you did raise your hand. I don't know if it was, now I'm putting us in a different direction, but feel free to comment and in whatever way you'd like. So I'm going to stop the recording now.
So thank you, Heidi. I did raise my hand and I said, oh, let me just wait. Lori, I did